마이크도 딱 되게
See who we have here. Jason Coastal.
와,
뒤에 배경 이거 진짜 엄청나지
미쳤죠,
않나요?
지금?
여기는
지금
코스탈이
난리
직접
났어요.
선택한 장소입니다. 행사장 근처에서 찾았어요. 인터뷰 시작해 보도록 하겠습니다. Say hello to our subscribers.
Hello.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be here. My name's Jason Coastal from Phoenix, Arizona, here in the United States. And I just had the incredible pleasure of listening to these two people perform on my guitar. I will say I have probably never heard a better performance.
Wow, it's a great honor.
And that is with all sincerity. That was incredible. So it's an honor to be here with you and to talk to your subscribers.
Yeah.
I'm a small shop builder, basically build all by myself, and I build handmade acoustic guitars, steel string acoustic guitars in the United States. I started out as a fingerstyle player, and when I started playing guitar, there wasn't a lot of handmade custom guitars. And so we would buy something off the shelf, a Martin or something like that. And when I got into lutherie, what I wanted to do is try to create a guitar that I would be happy to perform with. And, you know, as you guys just demonstrated, it's important to have the guitar be versatile. So even though I build it for fingerstyle guitar, you have to be able to strum on it. You have to be able to do percussive on it, jazz, you know, whatever you want to do. And I've really focused very hard on trying to get the right tonality out of the instrument so that whatever player ends up with the guitar can play the style of music that they're interested in playing.
Introduce about this guitar, please.
When you go through your journey, you reach a point where you just feel like I've done all the same stuff. Right?
Yeah.
And so for me, a lot of my guitars are always German spruce over Brazilian rosewood. And I reached a point this year where I was feeling not as inspired in the build process. And I wanted to do something that was special to me. So I declared at the beginning of the year, I said, I'm going to build a guitar with absolutely no input from anybody and just build what I want to build. And so this is a huge movement away from what I would normally build, but I'm so proud of it. It just has a beautiful sound. This has a roughly 210-year-old Sinker redwood top. Back and sides on this guitar are a 10,000 plus year old set of English boggo.
10,000 plus.
Yes. So all we know is it's older than 10,000 years. So what happens is in northern England, these trees fall and then the bog grows above it, and the bog is an anaerobic environment, so there's no oxygen. So the tree never decomposes. Some are 10,000 years old, there's some that are 15, some are 20,000 years old. Burl here, so this is a birch burl on the back and then also on the rosette. And then the most special part to me is the back of the peg head inlay. This is a set of western red cedar, really nothing exciting about it, but this was the very first top that I ever bought as a luthier. So I bought this cedar top, and I've never built a guitar with a cedar top, so I've had this top just sit and sit and sit. But it was the very first thing I ever bought as a luthier, and so I decided to put that on the back of the peg head as kind of an homage to my journey. So this guitar was just built for fun, and you know, I had no plans for it. I didn't really know what I was going to do with it, and it's for sale. And if it finds a home, then that's a wonderful thing. I would love to see it make music, but if I keep it for the rest of my life, I'm okay with that too. So.
You mean this is the first guitar you made this kind of guitar?
Yes. It's the only one in the world. So what I'm going to try to do is once a year, I'm going to try to do a guitar that inspires me and allows me to push my limits and try new things. And I think that's important as an artist, to sometimes get out of your comfort zone and do things that's different for you. So.
It was amazing that under the ground without oxygen and 10,000 years plus. And how we get to know how old it is?
So they carbon date it. There's a process that they do scientifically where they can tell based on the cell structure of the wood and everything else. They can give it a timeline, and it's within a margin. So you know, they can't say like this is from April of 1942. They can say this is within this margin. So they know that this is older than 10,000 years old and less than 15,000 years old.
It's amazing.
But I love stories. You know, I think music is about telling a story. And for me as an artist and my guitars, you know, the thing that excites me the most is building an instrument that then musicians use to create music for the world to enjoy. But I can also build a story into the instrument that makes it kind of fun and exciting. And so for this one, it feels right. You have a lot of old things that, you know, basically used to be a tree, and in creating a guitar, I feel like I give that tree a voice again. You know, I mean, we're sitting in the woods, listening to the river, listening to the leaves blow, and when you make music on this, we're taking this tree that was felled 10,000 some years ago, and we're giving it a voice again, which is just a beautiful thing.
It's a cool history.
Yeah.
It's like waiting and bearing to be a great guitar. It's like waiting like forever. But finally, it did it.
It was waiting for the two of you to come along and make music on it. That's really what it all came down to.
Yes. What do you think is the most important thing when you make your guitar?
So,
tonal thing or a musical thing?
I think it's always going to be tonal, right? Because at the end of the day, if the guitar doesn't play the way you want it to play, then you've failed, right? It doesn't matter how beautiful it is when it hangs on a wall. These are made to make music. Now, every musician may have a different thing that they're looking for. So I have kind of what I think is what the guitar should sound like, but I think the important thing is when working with a client or a musician, being able to listen to what they're looking for, understand it, articulate it into the build process, and then make it. So what I think makes a great guitar may not be what somebody else thinks makes a great guitar. And typically, if it's too far away from what I think makes a good guitar, then I will tell them I'm not the right person for them and send them somewhere else. But generally speaking, you know, what I want to do is I want to make the guitar sound good and also be easy to play. I think, you know, watching you play today, a lot of my clients play in alternate tunings, they do percussive stuff. And what you find is how the guitar is set up determines whether or not you can play that technique. You know, there's a lot of songs that you can play on some guitars and you're like, this just is not working. And so I think for me, it's important to have a guitar that's easy to play. And what I've always said is I don't want you to have to fight the guitar to get the music right. So it should be an effortless playing experience so that you can focus on your style of playing or the musicality. You shouldn't have to be working against the guitar in order to create the music that you do.
Go with this. Not against.
Not against.
So, what is your final, ultimate tonal goal?
Oh, wow.
Philosophy.
You're not asking any easy questions. I don't have an answer for that. What I can tell you is listening to you play today. There are just notes. There are phrases that when you hear them, they elicit an emotional response. I mean, they can literally bring tears to your eyes because of how they make you feel. And I think if I can create a guitar that's capable of that in the right person's hands, then I have done everything I set out to do.
Then I think you already fulfilled something.
I like to think so. When I was just a musician, I don't know that I ever experienced music as deeply as I do now. So as a musician, it was more technical for me. Like, am I hitting all the right notes and am I playing? As a listener and being connected to these instruments, I listen to the music and there's quite literally moments where I'm listening and all of a sudden tears are falling and you're like, where did that come from? You know? And it's because it hits something in here that only music can do. Music is a very, very powerful thing. And I'm trying to create a tool to give that to somebody.
And this is something. I was surprised at your playing.
Me too.
You're a great player.
Well, and I appreciate that. Playing the guitar is one of the most uncomfortable things for me because I don't practice, so I'm not even used to playing. Everything feels weird, but it's still nice that after all these years, I can still at least do something with the guitar. A lot of luthiers are not players. So they're woodworkers, and they can build a good guitar because there's some science that goes into it. But then they have to hand the guitar to somebody else and say, "Does this sound good?" And what I do appreciate is, even though I may not get up and perform and play, I can string up the guitar and I can hear if it sounds the way I want it to, and I can play some different notes and stuff like that, and feel, is it comfortable to play? And is this a guitar that I like? So I may not be performing, but I can at least play the guitar enough to discern that it's a good guitar by my standards. And I think that's really important.
You mean that it's not a necessity.
No.
Yeah, but
No.
but if you can play guitar well, that
Yeah.
will help
Yeah.
to build
Yeah.
guitar better.
Well, it's a great point. Like when you're doing slapped harmonics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you've never played that style before, then you don't necessarily know like how the frets need to be in order to do that. You don't know where the setup is so that you aren't getting the buzz and stuff like that, but where you get enough height that you're getting that. So I think there's playing styles that if you know how to play it, then you go, I know what you're looking for. And you and I may not even talk about it, but I'm going to build that into the guitar because it's part of how you play.
Yes.
So I think that's really important.
Yeah.
This fight with it made you the better builder. I think. Except this guitar, what is your favorite combination of wood? It's very personal, so yeah.
It really is. So I use German spruce, with the exception of this guitar, on 100% of my instruments. And the German spruce that I use comes from one log. So every guitar that I have ever made, the top has come from the same log.
Just
and the
one
benefit
log.
to that is I know how it sounds. So I know how to manipulate it.
Expectation.
When we buy wood, and one wood comes from way over here and another one from over there, every time you get it, it's different. So for me, having every piece of top wood come from the same log means that I always know exactly how that wood is going to respond. For back and sides, I really do like Brazilian rosewood.
Oh.
There's a lot of issues and concerns along using Brazilian rosewood now, and so I've learned to use other woods like Madagascar rosewood, Honduran rosewood, but rosewood to me gives that projection, it gives the headroom that you're looking for as a performer, and it gives kind of a moderate level of sustain and nice articulation of the notes. I can play it as a fingerstyle guitar and hear the orchestral feel, but I can also flat pick it and it's going to project and it's going to sound really good. So Brazilian rosewood to me is just kind of the foundation of how I judge a guitar.
Yeah.
And it's always my preference, but it's obviously it's very expensive, it's very difficult to get and ethically source. And so at this point I save it for special guitars and I don't use it as much as I used to, but it is still my favorite wood.
Yeah, Brazilian rosewood plus German spruce. Brazil and German. It's the best football countries, I think. So I guess that football and guitar has some relationship.
You might be onto something. I don't know.
Italian spruce, right? The best football countries. Last words to the subscribers. Anything you want to say?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. I think music brings people together from all over the world. It doesn't matter what country you live in, what language you speak. Right now the world is struggling in a lot of different ways. And I think music and art and creativity is going to bring all of us together. And so being able to spend time with you, share music and share the emotions and feelings that come along with it is just an incredible thing. So thank you for allowing me to speak to your subscribers and for allowing me to share a little bit of myself to Korea and everybody that watches this video. It's just an honor to be with you today. So thank you.
It was a great interview. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
This is closing of our
Okay.
channel.
All right.
Can you remember this sentence?
I will do the best
Acoustic 좀 아는 남자들.
Acoustic.
좀 아는 남자들. 남자들.
남자들.
Good.
The last word sucked. Let's try that.
Suck. It sucks. Yeah, I know. You say this first,
Right.
and we say
어쩜.
Oh shit. Acoustic. Nom. Anam. Guys.
놈. It's not 놈.
좀.
좀.
Jom. Acoustic. Nom. No. Acoustic. Jom. Anam. Guys.
어쩜.
It was the hardest part of this interview.
All right. So what does nom mean?
Like it's insulting word in Korea.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well done, Jason.
Acoustic bastard.
Peter.